Saam met ons in die ateljee ons eerste gas, Brian Richardson, en hy is die hoofuitvoerende beampte en mede-stigter van Wizard International. A big welcome, Brian.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
Sure, early morning.
Very.
So before we start, we're going to talk about the digital, future of digital and banking and cell phones. But just a little bit of background about yourself and exactly what is Wizard? What do you guys do?
I started my career in the banking industry many years ago, moved on from there and revisited my roots. And I think what attracted me to the industry was the fact that there's 7 billion people in the world, 3.5 billion don't have access to financial services. Closer to home, 1.2 billion people in Africa, that might have grown by the time I finished that sentence. 700 million don't have access to financial services.
Sure.
You cannot grow economies and people if they're still persisting with money under the mattress or in the cookie jars. So we needed to come up with a model. Cell phones provided the answer. Technology that everybody had in their pocket. We coined the phrase, my bank in my pocket, because it's always with you. And if you look at the major inventions of today, the real innovations, Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, you can't use it without a good payment system. So unfortunately, it's going to become more and more difficult for people who are financially excluded to be part of the mainstream economy. Today, there's apps for everything. I mean, last night I was just reading, there's an iCow app, which you can track herding your cows and your goats. There's apps for
you can tag them,
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what the world has come to just through utilizing digital and particularly mobile.
And I remember I started my career 17 years ago working in a small cell phone shop called Communication Station.
Okay.
And that was the time, all of a sudden, after the contract, guys, the pay-as-you-go system came in. And even then, poor people, even like a car watcher, all of a sudden everybody had phones because there was this phones that was 2 years old, you know? And is that the model that you realized? That's what you say. I mean, there's probably a billion people that it can grow cell phone-wise that can now you introduce into banking.
Well, the interesting thing is building on that is people mightn't have shoes.
Yeah, but they have a phone. Yes.
And that's how integral a part of their lives it's become. I've left work, and I'm sure it's happened to you, where you get halfway to work in our lovely traffic and you discover you've left your wallet at home. You're going to say, I'll get through the day. Do the same thing, tap your pocket and say, I've left my cell phone at home. I promise you turn around and you go straight back home.
Can't do it. This whole digitizing of the world, you think, and the tempo it's going, positive, negative, is it a balance?
It's growing very quickly. As I say, last night, just looking at news releases that came out yesterday, it is absolutely phenomenal. JagPay announced the fact that their cars, their latest models, you can pay for petrol, pay for your parking, all electronically through a system that is built into your car that is linked to your payment mechanism.
Sure.
51% of consumers think cash will decrease in 3 years' time. So we're moving towards a cashless society. Unfortunately, the consumer is moving faster than business because business, only 35% think that it will be cashless. 41% of businesses say customers prefer paying in cash. Quite interesting. Consumers, 70% of them say they prefer to pay digitally.
Yes.
So there seems to be a disconnect between consumer and business. Consumer is leading the chase. The interesting thing is, where are the banks in all of this? Because banks tend to be reactive, they tend to be slow-moving, they are conservative, and they're overburdened with compliance and regulatory issues. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but it provides an interesting
And they're
story.
going to get big fines now that we've seen about the price,
Sure.
cartel.
It's an innovative industry, definitely. We've seen that. If we look at the innovations we can look forward to in 2017, I know you wrote an article regarding cryptocurrencies and blockchain software. Maybe if we can just elaborate on that a bit.
Well, interesting. The South African Reserve Bank, as recently as yesterday, announced that it was contemplating the introduction of digital currency based on blockchain. It's just amazing. Sub-Saharan Africa, just taking the continent we live in, is the most expensive remittance corridor in the world. Remittance, sending money from me working in the towns to my family who may be rurally based, and particularly cross-border remittances.
Yes.
Africa has got such potential to be the factory of the world now that things are tightening up in China. We've got the labor, we've got the weather, we've got solar energy, wind energy. We've got such potential in Africa if we could just harness some of it. But it's only going to work if we've got efficient payment mechanisms, and part of it is around remittances. The old model of remittance cost me a fortune, 20% of the value of my money, and I might be lucky if it got to whom I was sending it within 8 days, sort of being an average. Today, utilizing blockchain cryptocurrency, I can send somebody money. It takes 8 seconds at a fraction of the cost, an absolute fraction of the cost. So just utilizing remittances or thinking about remittances as one particular model to try and help reduce costs and speed up payments is just one application. Then you've got the whole thing around identity, KYC. There's no reason why blockchain can't be used to store all of this information that makes it easy for other people to access. For me, I mean, I'm useless when it comes to storing all of this stuff. Why can't it be digitally on a blockchain? The benefit of it is it eliminates the fraudsters.
Yes.
It's created on a block, cannot be touched or manipulated except through very clever cryptography and algorithms. So I think we're just starting out on it.
Sure. And I want to just go back to where you started, just by linking like the cell phone to a SIM card or the number to a SIM card. That makes it so much safer. But we're going to chat a bit later. So jy kan geskakel bly vir jou sport net hierna en dan gesels ons verder. We're going on with our discussion. Brian Richardson, hoofuitvoerende beampte en mede-stigter van Wizard International. We touched on blockchain now, Brian, and just to take us back with your company and the whole thing about the SIM card being linked to a number, or that whole system and the security, and it's easy and it's safer. What exactly did you guys do there?
Yeah, we were the first to launch back in 2004. Wow, it seems like a long time ago.
Sure, it feels a long
and I must
time
be
ago.
honest, a lot of my friends, I come from the banking industry, as I mentioned, said nobody in their right mind would ever do a payment on a cell phone. Well,
Yes.
today I'm very happy to say that whether we like it or not,
That's all I do.
mobile is part of the mainstream payment space.
Yes.
It is here to stay, and it is growing exponentially. So it's just so convenient, particularly, one would argue, well, I can take my card, it's quick. It is. I mean, I do nothing all day, every day, except work on my cell phone. But if you're in a retail store, to take out your phone and start making a payment with your phone, at this point in time, is probably too slow. Speed through tills for a retailer is very quick. But tap and go is here. It's already here, running on different types of rails, walk up to an account. We've launched in Albania. Fascinating story. 75% of the people in Albania do not pay for electricity.
Sure.
And you think, that's crazy. I was brought over there by the Ministry of Energy to try and solve the problem. The issue is not that they don't want to pay, it's that they can't pay. So the only place you can pay is at a post office. You go to the post office and there's a queue from here across the road and you say, I'll come back next month. You come back next month, same queue, same thing. So eventually you just build up the debt. Just a simple application. Pay for your electricity on your phone from the comfort of your own home. Suddenly their collections have increased and the problem's been solved. So it's just thinking a little bit differently about the problem. But I said during the break, the challenge we've got is that if you've got half of the world's population financially excluded, they can't do that. The only means they've got of being an economic citizen is with cash. That is something we need to address and need to address very, very quickly.
And just for context, I mean, your company from 2004, it's 3 continents, 13 countries and counting.
Yep.
It's massive. It became a massive industry.
It did.
It's really
It wasn't easy, but nothing.
Nothing comes easy.
I
Yes.
laughed with my stakeholders and investors to say if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
So our customers are leading innovative banks that have got foresight, that have got passion around the bottom end of the market and do enjoy technology. So digital is an integral part of the bank's strategy. And they're saying going forward, I nearly got burnt at the stake for suggesting 12 years ago that branches were a dying thing. I don't know anybody that wakes up in the morning and says, goody, goody,
Can't
I'm
wait
going to
to
the
go to
branch
branch.
today.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. I have 4 children. Not one of them have ever been into the branch of a bank, ever. I don't even know where the branch of my bank is. We were the first to launch with a branchless banking model to say we can do everything that you would possibly want to do in a branch you can do on your cell phone.
I'm one of those guys that's in between. I love cash. I love the feeling of cash in my hand. But if I go to a market, I love paying with my phone, even restaurants. And sometimes it feels you're not paying because you're not feeling it. You get the account and you're like, that's what I spend. I want to chat to you about the mobile points of sales. We're going to chat a bit later about that. And just where we're going in the world. So ons gesels oor digitale vooruitgang en wat ons na kan uitkyk vir 2017. Brian Richardson saam met ons in die ateljee, hoofuitvoerende beampte en mede-stigter van Wizard International. Brian, we spoke about the whole internet banking, cashless system all over the world, but also the emerging market. It's like digital trends. What do you predict for 2017?
I do believe that for one of the first times maybe in history, certainly in the financial services industry, we're going to see a much more collaborative effort. So to build the ecosystem, you need the banks. You need the fintech companies, such as Wizard International, that provide the technology. You need the mobile network operators as the access channel and the communication channel. You need the regulator from a compliance, KYC, and building trust perspective. You need the retailers on board. And the challenge that is coming, if we believe it, which I certainly do, even in Africa, the massive growth that's going to happen in e-commerce and online shopping. You can't participate if you don't have a bank account.
Yeah.
That is the challenge that is going to face Africa. How do we bring in this mass of 700 million people to financially include them and financially empower them? Because all these wonderful innovations are not going to work unless we've got the mass market behind us. And that implies then we've got the retailers. So it's the chicken and the egg. The retailers will come on board if the market is there. They will come on board to say, if people are saying we want to pay with our mobile, not with cash, the retailers will buy into it. Cash, as we all know, is incredibly expensive. It's inconvenient. And in the society in which we live, unfortunately, it is bloomin' dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
If we quickly have a look at social media, where our listeners and viewers also engage into the program, cyber fraud. We've set a question there. Any victims? Who's been a victim of cyber fraud and who's not been? If we quickly look at the statistics up to date now, 17% says yes, they've been a victim, and 83% says no, they haven't been a victim. Now, that's always the case with new technology. People are a bit afraid because they don't know what to expect. Can you maybe elaborate on this?
Yeah, we're very fortunate in the 12 years that we've been around. There hasn't been a single incident of fraud, and I don't want to tempt fate, on the mobile channel. It is incredibly secure. The standards that are associated with it are really, really high. I reckon if you did that stat, who's lost money or had money stolen from them, the numbers are going to go through the roof. So relative to the cyber fraud, it's really, really small. I'm more worried about traveling the world as I do carrying cash, because that is what people are after. Very difficult for somebody to steal my phone and access my accounts. They need to get my PIN. What's interesting today? Fingerprint. Biometrics.
Yes.
Fantastic. The biggest call center call-in query is, I've forgotten my PIN, and people feel embarrassed because it's a stupid thing to do. But it happens to us all. We've got so many bloomin' numbers and PINs. I mean, we forget them. But my fingerprint, I've got with me all the time.
Yeah.
So I do think you're talking about trends. That's certainly one of the trends that's going to happen. A central repository for KYC information. That whether I'm buying an air ticket, a boarding pass, or whatever it might be, that I've got a central store of all of this information that are in secure vaults using blockchain. Because it makes it very difficult for the fraudsters to get into that type of system. So to me, that's very exciting, and we'll see a reduction in it. But like anything else, it's about trust. And the banks are in a very fortunate position in that the market still trusts the banks with their money. And the banks need to build on that and try and adopt a much more innovative frame of mind.
And for the first time last week, I checked into the plane with a digital boarding pass, and I thought, but what am I going to do with this? And then they scanned my phone.
Absolutely.
With the normal scanner.
Yep.
Where it scans your ID or whatever. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And that's like, and I love technology. Do you think we will get over that intimidation eventually? It's just marketing and getting used to it.
It's changing behavior. People ask me, what is our core business? It's not about the provision of state-of-the-art technology to leading banks around the world. It's changing people's behavior. How do I change a mindset of a rurally based person who's lived their life with cash to say there are better, safer, easier, more convenient ways to do it? And it's about the value proposition. As with anything else, if there's value in it and people get benefit, they don't even mind paying for it. So it really is a marketing business at the end of the day.
Sure. Brian, I enjoyed this so much. I'm going to do an EFT to thank you. I'll get your details now, so thank you so much.
Bye, Dankie. Thanks very much.